we're back, guys. So let's take a look at weather again. The levee breach in Arkansas, Missouri, prompt evacuations, according to the Weather Channel. This picture shows it all. Just like what we showed at the beginning. There are so many levees and dams that look like this, guys. Where's the water going to go? Taking a look at our drought monitor. Still in pretty good shape for the United States compared to where we were last year, especially California. Cool down coming to the Northeast. Oh, yeah, because it's been so balmy up here. Temperature is going to be 10 to 15 below normal. Isolated shower early next week, so at least it starts off early. Spotty storms on Saturday in the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic states as well. You'll get your share by Sunday. Ohio, Northeast Ohio, Columbus, Buffalo, heavy rain for you guys. Showers, storms to precede a burst of unseasonably cool air in the Northeast. So, when's summer going to get here? And I could have swore I saw some kind of outlook that showed that the East Coast and the Northeast was going to be well above average on temperatures. But here we go into June 2nd. And it's cool and humid in Ohio, Cleveland, Indianapolis, Michigan, Detroit, Chicago. A little humid and warm over the weekend. Showers and thunderstorms to take place here in the Northeast. Cool down earlier, much less humid. Cooler temperatures. They will go into Wednesday before we finally start to see a warm up. And here's the good news. It doesn't appear that we're going to be talking a lot about a lot of severe weather. And the reason why is because we had experienced a pattern shift that's coming up for June. So it's going to be a little bit cooler in the south. And I know we've had a lot of heat in the southeast. I'm sure you guys are thankful that that heat wave is coming to a close. Let's go ahead and take a look at our temperatures. Still nice for this time of year in the south, but a little bit more back to normal. Here we are, June 1st. And much of the country from Ohio southward, you're in the 70s and 80s in the deep south, some still 90s lingering around. And again, we do see that change coming by June 4th. The Northeast is cool once again. The 80s and 90s are pushed down to the far south, way south near the Gulf. And by the way, the Gulf is nice and warm right now. And especially when we get into June, as we look at our temperature outlook, again, about average, 60s and 70s. The GFS is recommending that we're going to see some 80-degree temperatures in the Northeast. We will see about that. The 90s still hanging around the East Coast as well. And we got to get ready for some serious heat in Texas. Now, what I made a claim before this season started was I told Mari, I bet we have a very hot summer in parts of the United States. Very hot. But the good news is it's going to be short-lived because I think we're going to get colder quicker this year than we did last year. And right now, that cool down is coming for the Northeast and the Northwest, but the South is going to hang on to that heat. But look at the temperatures on June 11th. High temperatures are 60 degrees in the capital region of New York, 56 in Syracuse, 62 in Buffalo, 63 near Pittsburgh. June 12th, 60s and 50s throughout the entire Northeast. Some heat starting to creep up in the East Coast. But again, look at the daytime highs on June 12th. Ohio, 71 degrees in Cincinnati. Don't tell me that's normal. 69 degrees in Cincinnati on June 13th. Lexington, Kentucky in the mid-70s. Louisville, mid-70s. Nashville, maybe you'll reach the 80s. Maybe. June 13th, guys. Oh, finally, June 14th. Start to get a little bit warmer, especially in the Northeast. 77. There we go. Here comes some summertime heat. Okay. We'll see. The Northwest, on the other hand, I mean, daytime highs, 48 degrees. Nice and balmy. Parts in Nevada, 49 degrees. Parts of Northern California in the low 50s for highs. Eesh. Mid-June. Global warming, huh? Guys, if I sound ornery tonight, it's because this information continues to blow my mind on a daily basis. The stuff that we see on a daily... Yeah, we got one to watch here too, by the way. So let's take a look at our future cast on GFS. Again, it's not going to be exact, but the GFS has done a pretty decent job, I feel, on picking up on moisture patterns and everything. So we were concerned about the 1st through the 7th of June. And with the pattern change, we still see that chance of that line of storms that are going to develop every day, almost on the 24-hour mark. Every 24 hours, it's like the atmosphere will load up. And we were talking about this the other day on the 1st through the 7th. Let's see if that pattern's still there. Yes, it is. Here we are on the 4th. Here we are on the 5th. Here we are on the 6th. Here we are on the 7th. And finally the 8th. And now we start to see some kind of normality happen again to our weather patterns as we start to see these fronts starting to move off to the east as if the southwest is trying to calm down a little bit. So now Ohio and Kentucky and Tennessee, you're going to have a low pressure system that's going to kind of stall out over that region. And we're talking about some pretty good rains here for that area. Now, mind you, we were just talking about Ohio already late and behind on crops to be planted. Most of us need to have soybean in the ground by the June 8th because at this point, if you don't have corn in the ground, you're done. That's not being a fear report ours, that's telling the truth. Most areas by June 8th, if you do not have corn in the ground, you're done.
Soy.
And, well, corn. You switch it over to soy by June 8th. So those corn farmers are going to be soybean farmers by June 8th, is what I'm trying to say.
They might not have a farm at all.
Or they might not have a fall. I mean, you know, we're looking at the GFS rain here for the 7th. This low pressure system that finally kind of moves away on the 5th of June. I mean, this is a long, slow rain that's going across the Central Plains. Look at that. Flow of moisture just coming in from the northwest and just stalling out at different times, moving a little bit at a time. It takes several days for it to make its way over Ohio. And it hangs out for several days. And more rain and flooding coming in Oklahoma and Nebraska. And some probably well-deserved rain coming into the south by the 10th of June. Even though we got a pattern change of temperatures, the moisture is still there. Now, the hotter temperatures will probably help with bringing down the tornado activity. But as far as the rain and floods go, I don't look like it's changing anytime soon, folks. Let's focus our attention right now to the Gulf region here, Florida. Guys, Miami. I said something about this about a week ago. We need to watch Southern Florida. Miami could be in some kind of an event that could be a very long rain event at this point. Starting around June 10th, we got to keep our eyes on the Gulf as the system will make its way to Florida. And by the 14th of June, the low pressure system behind it will have its act together. Now look at Miami. Most of Florida in the southern part, heavy rain expected on the 14th. GFS is saying we're going to see something kind of big deal here. But thanks to the high pressure that's kind of camped out right here over Ohio, this might pull this up the coast. This high pressure system could pull that system up the coast. Let's see what happens here, guys, as we put this in motion. And that's exactly what's happening. So, this is bad to keep this high pressure here in Ohio on the 13th. So we can only hope that our pressure maps change, because if they stay the same right now, that high pressure system that's over Ohio is going to pretty much pull this hurricane, potential hurricane. It's going to pull it up the East Coast at this current position right now. That high pressure system. So the one thing we need to watch for in mid-month is where that high pressure system is camping out at. We need to hope that that thing is already in the Atlantic. That's the only kind of hope we have right now to avoid what could be a pretty dangerous hurricane situation that's going to pretty much inundate the entire state of Florida, Orlando, Miami, Jacksonville will probably get some pretty heavy rains, but not only that, probably some surge, lots of wind. So we have our first major hurricane possible in the mid-month of June. Earlier models on GFS was suggesting something around the 7th and 8th of June, and now they've kind of pushed that out another week. And then this is why I usually don't like going this far out, because it's so unreliable. I mean, we're not even at June 1st yet, and we're looking at the 16th. But as of right now, the GFS forecast model favors a high-pressure system that kind of parks its way in the Midwest by the 11th of June and just hangs out for a little bit. And it's that high pressure that's going to bring and pull that storm up the East Coast. So something to definitely watch as we move into the future here over the next several days. El Nino, more like Al Nono. Actually, I take that back. Here we go. It's actually got its act together and it's back to El Nino conditions. But when you look at this map, you wouldn't think that. You know, technically, you usually have a lot of 28s all across right here. And, you know, so we're slightly El Nino right now. We're not even considered moderate or anything like that. It's just barely above the threshold. And looking at this graph, we'll probably start seeing the temperatures plunge once again, possibly dipping below, well below the El Nino events. I don't think this will be a prolonged El Nino like some have predicted, honestly. I just don't see it. I've been saying it all year long. When NOAA said 90%, I said no way. Then they had said 70. I still said no way. Let's check out the crop report real quick. I forgot Mari had put that together over here for me. As you can see, lots of flooding still, lots of saturation. I want to see the map that shows suitable days in the field. Because what's important to me, golly, look at the difference in the temperatures though, soil temperatures. You know, what's different for me though is when we report the information from the crop reports and the maps, and you get the comments below in the chat and on the comment section of these videos when they're done. And I don't think I'm going to get that chart. Oh, here it is, my favorite. They always like to mess with you here. Oh, there we go. Just find it funny that there's actually a button that returns this around. All right, so the parts that we just talked about, 2.7 workable days in the fields. Now, this is May 26th. Here's that number, May 26, 2019. All right. And Ohio is at 11%. .7 days of field work. And they've only got 11% planted. Indiana, 1.8 days of field work. That ought to help you catch up, down 14% in the fields from last year's 89%. South Dakota, oh, this should help. You get 1.1 day of suitable field work because you only have 6% in the ground right now compared to last year's 56%. I hope you guys understand how serious this is. And I'm not trying to be like your dad and yell at you and scold you for not. You know, I think there's a lot of things in our news around the world that people get caught up. You know, I think it's finally safe to say that we really need to stop bickering and fighting with each other about politics and everything else that goes along with politics. Because those politicians don't give a damn about me and you. If they did, they'd have those pumps in the Delta. If they gave a damn about us, they wouldn't be taxing us for carbon. If they gave a damn about us, they wouldn't let people like AOC talk about Green New Deals, getting rid of carbon or getting rid of engines and telling people that we're causing this climate change. They don't care about us. And we have to start caring for ourselves. The time for talkie-talkie is over. We got to take some action. When you look at the charts and you look at this stuff right here with the crop situation here in the United States, these numbers are atrocious. And all I got to say is with these tariffs and everything that we're going through right now, you know, don't blame it on Trump raising tariffs. It's these tariffs are going up because they know there's going to be a price increase here soon. The world knows it. Last effort of the money grab, what I call it. Mari, did you want to add anything to tonight's broadcast? I know I kind of went on a little longer than expected, but you know, with all the flooding and all the crop loss that we're looking at right now, and looking at the center of the country, I don't see where in the hell we're going to plant anything. In Iowa, Missouri, Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, Kansas, Indiana, and unfortunately Ohio right now are the worst of it.
Hey, Jake.
What's going on?
Well, very active in the chat. I don't even know where to start. People definitely, it's like, I think people are sick of AOC entirely. And then to hit them with Al Gore back to back, that's all my fault.
It set everybody
I chose
off.
These articles.
We just dropped a nuclear bomb.
Sorry. But I posed the question in the chat. Who's more obnoxious?
Can we?
You know, it's so hard.
We should actually root for these two to get married.
No. Well, then we have a big thing going about soy. Like, wow. I'm not a big soy fan.
I
know
imagine.
You're not either. You can imagine. So, yeah. So far, I believe it's a tie between that, but Al Gore sort of gets extra brownie points for being around so long. For so many long, obnoxious, annoying years with his really awful wife, Tipper Gore. Anyway, Doug wants me to make a new t-shirt that's emoji-based that's confused. So I told him I'm going to work on that, and I posted the link to our Teespring shop in the chat, and we have the promo code for 20% off of everything in there, which is cool. People are talking about the crops and the farming, and I just posted a comment in the chat. If there are farmers watching this, please know that we need you not to give up. Too many of our nation's farmers are just calling quits, and we get it's hard, but please just try your best to hang on. Even if you have to move and find another farm, don't discontinue farming. Our people need you. And if you're not a farmer, please support your local farms.
Well, and I want to stop you right there. Amari, and it really comes down to this. Is the government going to be here for these farmers to help them get back at it? Because I'm sure a lot of these farmers would do it for the rest of their lives, but now it's come down to a financial situation where our government doesn't really do a lot for farmers we've never seen this kind of damage.
Well, we have what is that spillway that it's going to be opening again? It's the Morganza floodway. There's a lot of farmers that are going to be affected by that when that opens. I read an article of one farmer. His farm is actually stable right now. It's okay, which is sort of a unique situation for him. With the surrounding area being so saturated, he has sunk in over $300,000 in just getting his farm going this season. And if they open that spillway, it's everything's lost. And his flood insurance won't cover man-made disasters, and it would be considered a man-made disaster because they have to open the floodway up. And he's in negotiation with, I don't remember, what did I say? He wound up making a deal where the insurance policy would wind up covering it with the government agricultural liability, whatever. I'm not well versed on the actual insurances these farms deal with, but that's just one small, big issue.
Hey, I want to shout out to Brad. He just mentioned in the chat that it might be time for another Farm Aid. And that couldn't be more truer than now. It might be a good idea that we get some kind of event, Ray. We need to get that going right now because these farmers are struggling. I think you're right, Brad. It's very urgent, and that would be a great idea to have like a Farm Aid Part 2 or something, because these folks, I mean, I know Willie Nelson does a lot with that particular festival, but definitely stuff like that really needs to happen in more frequency because these farmers need more help than ever before.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much great conversation going on with people's opinions and everything. So I just want to say hello to all of you. These live shows are a blast, getting to know all of you, what you're about, where you're from, what you're experiencing, everything, sharing. And everyone's pretty much been respectful, cordial, and you know, it's unusual with a social media platform not to have people being disrespectful and all that. So I want to thank all of you for being wonderful in the chat and making it easy for me as a mod to moderate.
Sam, I got to agree with you, buddy. We don't want aid. We want fair markets and less political BS. You're right. I mean, the farm aid's great. It does what it does. But you're right. Let's cut this bullcrap, the bureaucracy of this, and get the real help to farmers that they need, and stop sending bills to Congress and Senate that only get delayed and revoted because they have to be revised and everything. You're right, Sam. Absolutely. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for us tonight. Mari, is that all you had, or?
Yeah, the more we cover this information as in depth as we do, the more it seems that the algorithms and different analytics we get caught in this web where people are not seeing the information. It's very concerning to me that our views are down so low with the quality information that we're putting out. So we need your help. Please share our videos. That's all it takes is a like, a share, you know, leave a comment. Your interaction means more to us than you even realize. So thank you for those that are already like tweeting and Facebooking and gabbing and minding and whatever you do. Thank you. It's very much appreciated.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in once again. This has been the Grand Solar Minimum's weekly update as far as crop loss as well, but also in the Grand Solar Minimum news, guys, stay tuned to the channel. We'll definitely be back live on Monday. If anything breaks across the weekend, of course, we will break through and report on that as well. But expect us to be live again on Monday evening unless, like I said, we have news to report that needs to be reported immediately. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Take care. Have a good night and have a great weekend. We'll talk soon.